From the Ticats Audio Network, this is Ticats Today with Steve Milton.
This is Ticats Today, and I'm Steve Milton, and I'm really pleased to be joined by Timmy Chang, the head coach of the University of Hawaii, where he was also a star. And at the time of leaving school, he was the NCAA's all-time leading passer in many, many, many categories, and he ended up playing for the Tiger Cats in 2007. Timmy, how are you?
How's it going, Milt?
I'm great, thanks. And so, how does it feel? You're going to be you're an alumni of distinction. That's one of the things they're doing this year, every game, and you've been chosen. How does it feel to have that designation?
Truly an honor. Hamilton is part of my story and my history, and it's where my wife is from, and 3 of my kids were born here, and so. Being an island kid from the middle of the Pacific, it means a lot. That I have roots here, and I came here a long time ago in 2007, and I was able to play for a great organization, and to see where it's come now, and I'm excited to get back to Tim Horton Field and see the fans.
You haven't been to Tim Hortons Field, right? Because when you played, it was, of course, Ivor Stadium, and it was in the same spot, but a completely different place. It's torn down.
Sure, I've been there once, and I was able to see my buddy Chad Owens, who is actually being inducted into the CFL Hall of Fame this year, and what an honor for Chad. And but I got to see him compete and run around inside there. So this will be my second time to the field, but a little bit different from Ivor Wynn Stadium back in the day.
And you recognize, of course, that while it's on the same piece of land, it faces 90 degrees. It was not turned to 90 degrees. I mean, it was a windy place in your time, but I don't know if you noticed that when you came to see Chad, but it's pretty windy now. Like it's a wind tunnel now because the winds here run north-south as the stadium does.
Sure. Yeah, and we're experiencing the same thing in Hawaii. When you line up a certain way, and you have a mountain in the back of you, and that wind just kind of gusts down. We face the same challenges in Hawaii as our stadium has been adjusted to our field as well. But we get a good breeze, and definitely challenges the quarterbacks in the particular quarter that you're heading into the wind or throwing with it.
Yeah, sometimes some games, I imagine it's the same where you are. Some games are divided into 2 halves, really. The win when you have it and when you don't. So
yeah, sure, and really, the CFL has been a passing league. And you got your 5 receiver sets and there were 6 skill position guys, and you spread it out. It's and that's what carried over with my game coming from the run and shoot and setting records in college. It's very, very similar. And even through my time as I watched and I kept up with the CFL, even my coach who coached me, June Jones, made his way up here, as well as my quarterback coach Dan Morrison, and then coaching Jeremiah Masoli, and we still have these conversations till today. So a lot of people to say hi to, and a lot of connection from Hawaii all the way to Hamilton.
That's an amazing thing, the connection between Hawaii and Hamilton. As you mentioned, June Jones, you mentioned your wife Sherry is from here, and 3 of your 5 children were born here. And you also have Jeff Reinbold on your staff now, right?
Yeah, Jeff is now our defensive line coach. Passionate, as you know, he's a guy that wears Hawaii on his sleeve, literally. And so to have Dan Morrison and June Jones and Jeff Reinbold, and I have Panay Pavihi and now Talia's on the team as well. There definitely is a Hawaii connection, and we're just in Hawaii we're just guys that love to play the game of football. It's bred out there. It's the number one sport. Our university happens to be the only show and only team in town. But we definitely put out a lot of good football players that come from those islands.
I just want to mention to our viewers and our listeners a little anecdote that I had from the early 2000s. And sometimes when I couldn't sleep, I'd flip on TV, and there'd be either a replay or even live because of the time distance of your conference playing. You'd see these great games, and they'd be, I don't know, 48-44 or something like this. And there's this guy out there running around, making all this yardage, throwing all these great passes, and I think, if I remember correctly, Anthony Arsenault was on that team as well. And I'm thinking, that guy, if he doesn't make the NFL, that's a guy we got to see in the CFL. A couple of years later, who ends up on our doorstep but you? How did you end up getting here?
Yeah, it's as I go through the process and coming out, during the time I played 2000, 2004, there were really only two teams that really threw the ball as much as we did. Maybe you could put Coach Spurrier in there as well at the Florida with the Gators, but it really was Hawaii and Texas Tech at the time.
Tech. That was was that Ty Detmer at Texas Tech then? Who was
it was a couple guys. It was Cliff Kingsbury.
Right.
It's Lincoln Riley.
Right.
There's Sonny Cumby, who's the coach at. We all happen to be in the coaching circle, whether we're head coaches or offensive coordinator minds. We were kind of just a little bit ahead of our time a little bit as I look back on it. The knock on me when I was coming out of college was that I was never underneath the center. I was always in shotgun, and and it's fast how times have changed. Well, now all quarterbacks are in shotgun, and now they're all playing in spread offenses, and so I look at those things as as full circle and as a story to tell. Is that maybe I wasn't ready for the time of playing professionally and maybe in the NFL, so I ended up in the CFL, and it was in that locker room in Ivory Wind that I really recall and remember sitting in that locker room and just being like, "Hey, man, I think I want to be a coach." And I had
Really?
I had quarterbacks around me like Casey Printers and Williams, and we were just sitting down in the locker room, and I was looking around. I was like, maybe I can do this for a living. And so that's where my imagination sparked, and it kind of took me on a journey, and here I am. So many years later.
Maybe you can take us back to that year, because it was really just the 1 year that you played here, right? And then I think you ended up at Winnipeg later, and and I think they got you from Edmonton, but you never played for Edmonton. But I think your first pass, if I remember correctly, was to a local legend here, Jesse Lumsden.
Yeah, Jesse. Yeah. Jesse was pretty special. I mean, I think he went on to do bobsledding,
right?
Just kind of a guy, and there's so many friendships that you make with your Canadian brothers, and also your other guys coming from all over the parts of the different country in the U.S. And so it's pretty special time here, and I enjoyed every moment of it. I spent a year and a half here, and then I spent the next half in Winnipeg, and
right.
And it just so happens the backup quarterback there that became a really good buddy of mine is Ryan Dinwiddie. And Ryan, me and Ryan, you should talk about, okay, well, we both want to go into coaching when it's said and done. And my year ended, and I went straight into that, kind of maybe not straight into it after, but I took a couple of years to get my feet underneath me and do the things I needed to do. And I ended up in coaching, and so did he. And those are, a lot of my plans and a lot of the things that I really decided to come to be with my wife, Love, from Hamilton, really started here in Hamilton. It started with my idea of wanting to be a coach, and wanting to go on this journey with my wife, and a lot of great things happened along the way. I had a lot of great conversations, again, guys like with Ryan. It seems like yesterday we were just sitting around in the locker room, or in our room, or in a car, and just talking about being a coach, and I get to see him win a Grey Cup, go back to back Grey Cups, and I'm a fan from afar, but really my roots have been here. As I made that transition from playing to coaching, a lot of my roots have been right here in Canada, and it started from the CFL and now in Hamilton.
Would you talk a little bit about your playing here? I remember Charlie Taff, who was the late Charlie Taff, a good guy. I loved the guy, and I remember him saying he felt you were too hard on yourself. You were quite often dissatisfied, perhaps, with maybe your expectations were too high. What do you remember about your time here, specifically with it in black and gold?
Yeah, it was, I really learned how to work within myself. You're far away from home, really, and really, this is almost the first time I've been away from home because I'm from Hawaii, but I stayed to play at the University of Hawaii. There's some leagues I've been in the NFL Europe. I've been a couple different places uh, on a couple different teams, but not as long as I stayed here in Hamilton. And I really thought I could, with the offense I knew in the run and shoot, I really thought that I could make a good run here. And be a quarterback here for a long time. That's really not the case. There's a good quarterback in Casey Printers, and guys that have been in the league for a long time. And really, I didn't stick. I didn't make a really long time living here. But through the way, I think I was on my third and fourth year here. Really just kind of the grind of it all, and just understanding where I was in football. My mind was in football. It was time for me to kind of convert to being a coach.
Mm-hmm.
And I seen the success of some of the guys, Nick Rolovich, who I played with, and again I mentioned the Texas Tech guys. There's a bunch of them just kind of coaching, and I watch Cliff Kingsbury kind of get into it, and us quarterback guys are and spread quarterback guys, we're just kind of looking at it like, hey man, we can start to do this, and that's where I saw from 4 years, 2 years being here, 2 years being in the NFL. I just thought that was my direction that I needed to go.
Do you think it makes you a better coach having struggled a little bit with the game itself?
100%, 100%. I
And what?
coach off of, I coach off of all my experiences, whether they're good or bad, and filling in the voids and the needs that I think my players need to head to, and try to and see. I put it in front of them. I let them know what's coming up. I'm very open. I'm very honest. But I rely on my coaching. I rely on my playing experiences. I would say 75 to 80% of the time, in what I'm doing, and a lot of them are bad.
Right. I would assume that's got to help if somebody is struggling, that you've have some kind of identification with that.
100%, 100%.
Now let's just run over your coaching career. June, who's he's still a legend here. I mean, he was, when he was here, it was just so much fun to be around, and he hires you at SMU. I think in 2012, you were GA then, right? You were a graduate assistant or
Yep.
something at that point. How does
Yes.
that work? How did that work? How does that, like, were you taking grad studies at the time, or the fact was it just that you were a graduate?
Yeah, well, two parts to that story. One, the coaching fraternity it's a tight fraternity. When you try to get into the profession, you got to get welcomed in. And you get in how you get in, and any type of business, you're coming in at entry level, and so that's what the graduate assistant program is. It's you're able to take graduate classes. Uh, you're a full time student in graduate school, and so I was a full time student at SMU. But on top of that, you have all your coaching duties, and you get paid like a player. So you get a
Right.
stipend every month, and you live basically on a player's a student athlete salary. And so it's entry level. It's a way in. I could tell you this: when I got done playing, I sent about 30 emails out, and I didn't hear back from anybody. Actually, the University of Buffalo said thank you, but the job's filled. And so it's kind of a who you know business, and I'm so fortunate to have played under Coach Jones, and so when Coach Jones moves, he invites me to come and become a coach. My first year as a graduate assistant with the quarterbacks. My second year, our offensive line coach moves out, running back coach moves to offensive line, and I'm running the running back room. And so as a graduate assistant, I have my own room. And then my journey starts from there. I go to Jackson State, Emory Henry, Nevada, and now I find myself in Hawaii.
I'll just run over that for our viewers and our listeners on that. That at Jackson State, you did OC and quarterbacks, right? And then at Emory and Henry, OC, Nevada. Correct me if any of these are wrong. Nevada wide receivers, Nevada tight ends, Nevada wide receivers again, and then you got in 2022. That must have been something to be named the head coach of your own alma mater. Like, and you're in your third year. You're heading into your third year there now, right? That must be.
Yeah.
How stunning was that? To where you went to high school, where you played your college ball and set all of these records. I mean, you were. People don't understand here how famous you were for all those years.
Yeah, I mean it's humbling, right? I tell the recruits that, I tell the families that, I tell my players that I had a chance to come home and really when I was coming out of high school, I was really highly touted. I was the number one recruit in the state in Hawaii. Had a chance.
That's very high academic standards too, right? You were an honor student.
Yeah. And I had a chance to go to all these different places, but I wanted to live in Hawaii when it was said and done. I wanted to use football as a tool to carry myself further. I didn't know which avenue. Coaching was not in my mind at the time. I thought I was going to play professionally and right off into the sunset. That's never the case. And so 20 years later, after making a decision, 22 years later after making a decision, I find myself as the head coach. I didn't know when I committed to the school and staying home at 18 years old, this is where my life would have taken me. I didn't know I was going to meet a girl from Hamilton and fall in love as I played in the CFL. And so all these things all happened for a reason. And I truly believe that. I truly believe that, I'm here for a purpose. Things happen the way they happen, whether they were good or bad. But I find myself as a leader of the University of Hawaii football team and leading a community, leading a state, and I'm excited. I'm going to year 3. A lot of good things happened the first 2 years. A lot of bad things happened the first 2 years, and it's kind of that that positioning yourself to where you're at today. And I'm excited about our year 3.
Okay, we lost part of that, but it may have picked up that we just couldn't hear you there. Can you hear us now, Timmy?
Yep, I got you.
Okay, good. It's below 500, but it's hard. People have to understand that about college ball too. Is you have to build your own classes too, right? You come in and then you recruit as part of it, and it takes 3 and 4 years till it gets to be fully Timmy Chang's program, meaning you recruited everybody all the way from freshmen to seniors, right?
Yeah, I mean, we came into a situation where I was on my way to Colorado State with my Nevada staff and Jay Norvell, and then late in the process of in January, there's a change in Hawaii, and what happened with the program. A lot of the kids left with this new transfer portal, and so they went to go try to find better homes. It left our team where it was, but the locker room and the culture and the guys that we have in there, being 2 years under their belt, you're starting to see your team start to build, and that's what I'm excited about in year 3.
All right, and we'll end it with this. Do you ever recommend to some players that you can recognize that maybe they don't have the body type or whatever for NFL, or do you ever talk to them about, hey, you should consider you and your agent should consider the CFL?
Of course, I think all players keep it open, keep everything open on the table. It's challenging. It's challenging to make the NFL, but there's so many different leagues now. Overseas, the USFL has been created, but Canada is such a great league, and I enjoyed my time here. I enjoyed spending those Thursday, Friday, Saturday games, staying over in the cities, and really just I enjoyed the camaraderie. I enjoyed hanging with the guys, meeting new people, seeing new places, and playing some really good football. I mean, I thought some of the best football was played out here, and some of the athletes are really good and really smart, really good coaches. And the game really translates over really well. And so I enjoyed my time here, and I definitely recommend it to all my players.
Well, Timmy, I want to thank you for your time today, and you should be very proud of your career and it's ongoing. And I'm sure everybody's going to, especially after watching this, is going to be following Hawaii a little more than they used to. And congratulations on being an alumnus of distinction. It is a distinction to be named one of the alumni of distinction as well. And I want to thank everybody who's viewing and listening to us, and join us on Ticats Audio Network later in the week for more.
This has been Ticats Today with Steve Milton. Catch it on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.